background and let you see how boring my husband's office is. It's actually the worst. It's really sad. All right. Well, hey, everybody. Today is September 22nd, 2022. We are really excited today to be back with MS Office Hours, and we have some special guests today from FIU. But before we get started with them, just want to quickly introduce myself, Stephanie Stevens, and my other two co-hosts for the day.
Hey, I'm Garrett.
I'm Andrea Singrio.
All right, guys. Well, we're really excited to hear from you. I have a personal investment in the FIU crew. These folks have become friends over the last year of crazy effort to sort of push forward a migration and get everybody on a unified platform. So it's been a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, but hopefully now looking in the rearview mirror, some good lessons learned and some advice to paint for other people. So girls, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. Can everyone hear me okay? Yeah, perfect. I'm just going to make sure that we share my screen. Now, can everyone see my screen? Awesome.
Yes.
Well, thank you, Ralph. All right, guys, thank you so much, Stephanie, and to the Microsoft team for having us and giving us the opportunity to share our story, our migration story. We're calling it M365 in the 305. For those of you who may not know, 305 is our main area code. So to our team that have 786, sorry, but 305 is where it's at. 305 is also the time which we take a little break to have some cafecito. If you guys are in Miami, make sure to grab some cafecito. It's a little pick-me-up. If it's the first time that you're trying it, I would say probably not at 3:05 in the afternoon because you may not sleep. So let's go ahead and get started. A little bit about our FIU. Florida International University. International is who we are. It's in our name. We are actually celebrating our 50th anniversary. We're a relatively young university, opened our doors in 1972. We're about 56,000 students, grad and undergraduate, about 275,000 alumni strong. I would say about 160,000 are living in the South Florida area, so we stay close. 14,000 employees. We are among the top 10 largest universities in the nation. So we're young, but we're big. We have two main campuses in South Florida, our MMC and our VPC campus, and 9 locations, including in China and Washington, D.C. We are a Carnegie R1 Research University, and our recent U.S. News and World Report rankings put us at number 72 in the nation among public universities. We're also among the top 50 best value public universities and among the top 15 most innovative public universities. So those are accolades which we're really proud of. And we really pride ourselves in offering a learning environment that is academically rigorous and flexible to graduate the next generation workforce ready to compete in the global economy. So just want to give you an idea of who was working behind the scenes. Well, behind the scenes, front and center, we really couldn't have made this migration a success without them. Our project sponsor, our project lead, our project manager, God bless her, she kept us in line the whole way. We had technical leads from the Google side and the M365 side, training leads, our Google Tech specialists, and our communications folks, and also support, which was very important to help move this along. And can't forget to thank our amazing partners with Microsoft and 3Cloud, for which we could not have really made this migration a success. So thank you again to Microsoft for being such great partners and for continuing to support us while we roll out the different M365 tools. So the burning question, I know it was burning for our users, maybe not so much for you guys, but why did we decide to migrate? I'm sure you're all aware that at some point, I want to say a year ago, and Ralph, I guess you could keep me honest, but Google announced that they were making a substantial change to its service offerings, where they were going to stop offering unlimited storage to the academic community. And I think that was made effective this year in July. Prior to that, we were already having conversations and we were already exploring our options to migrate our users over to Microsoft 365. And really, it was just our students and our alumni because we had our employees already on M365. So once Google made that announcement, it was really a no-brainer for us. It solidified our decision to move everyone over to Microsoft 365, again, our alumni and our students. Having everyone under one platform really enabled us to operate more efficiently, provided improved security, and also better collaboration among the FIU community. So again, not really so much to ponder. It was an easy decision for us to make. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to my colleague, Rafael Figueroa.
Hi, everyone. So you can call me Ralph if you want to ask any questions, go right ahead. So this was a big project for us. Among the lessons learned, I must say, is beware what you wish for. So I wished for this project many years ago. Boy, did I get it. So this is definitely one of those huge things that it took a lot of effort, and just the folks that you saw a moment ago in a couple of slides is they were very key in getting this, and everyone played a very important role, especially in the first couple of items you see on the screen. The governance and the decision to expand our presence in 365 was not taken lightly by the management side of the house and as well as the technical side of the house. So there was the way we've got ourselves set up. We've got students. We primarily were in Gmail, although we had a very small subset of them from some of the health programs in 365. But we had faculty in primarily 365, with some having a presence in Google as well. In our environment, everyone was an FIU EDU email address. So that played a big role in deciding, do we want to keep this or change? So in our case, we decided everyone's going to remain an @FIU address. And then some departments have additional vanity domains. So we've been in 365 since approximately October of 2012. And I was part of the group that did the migration from on-prem Exchange into Exchange in 365. And that was our gateway into it. And since then, we've expanded both our presence in 365 and Azure, like just about every other tenant that they've got. What I would say is that the 12 years of experience and seeing how that's grown played a big role in how we were able to approach the project, and also all the information that we learned in managing our accounts and the things we've done over the last few years. In our case, we had to make some very strong, very difficult decisions back at the early part of this. We had a student and alumni population of over 270,000 that we had to decide whether we were going to migrate them or not. So in our case, our university has an email for life policy. And quite frankly, we had to decide if we were going to continue that for everyone. So we made a decision and set a cutoff date of January 1st, 2016. There was no activity, no login, or anything from that date forward. Then we would not include those folks in the migration. And the criteria evolved a little bit over time, because we ended up deciding to migrate people that had forwarding rules. It was very likely that they may not be logging in because they have that. So we decided to err on the side of being true to our promise to keep email for life. That left us with about, I think we had in the first batch of alumni, we were looking at about 125,000 alumni. And we worked with the partners of 3Cloud to set this up. And what we ended up doing was, when we got into the sweet spot of migrations, was at about 16,000 per night, 3 times a week. So we're doing close to 50,000 mailboxes a week for a period of about a month and a half. Our planning started in earnest in January, and I would say successfully we'll complete. We've already done all the email migrations, and we'll close out the project on October 1st. Some of the decisions that were key to us, I would say this first item has actually been extremely helpful to us, to let the people have access to their mail and to their G Drive data after the migration period ends. That's helped us troubleshoot some issues we had with some accounts, where in one case, individual had some corrupt files. We've had a couple of hiccups with our internal process of prepping and post-migration steps. We've had a couple hundred accounts where we had to go back and remigrate them, but in general, it's been very few problems. This went off really smoothly when we're talking about the numbers that we were doing and the speed at which we did it. Going forward, what we have in phases is turned off some of the Google apps. So we were able to turn off email first. G Drive will be next on October 1st. And we're going to leave a small suite of the Google apps available afterwards. A lot of this was driven by data. We were pulling a lot of reports out of Gmail to try and understand and get a hold of what did we do? What do we have there, and how much data do they represent? So if you go to the next slide, I'll talk a little bit about how we did this. So I'm going to start at 1 o'clock, just work clockwise around here. So we made early on a decision we were going to do the migration with a partner, but we were going to use the built-in Microsoft tools. And I must say that the documentation for that was fantastic. When we followed it, it went ridiculously fast. I was shocked at how quickly some of these went. As I mentioned, we were doing about 50,000 a week. So in our environment, we've got Proofpoint as our tool to deliver mail to different environments. So we had to, and the way we use Proofpoint is based on settings on the accounts that determine in Proofpoint where to route their mail. So we had to have a process whereby we prep the accounts while we still received mail in Google, migrated their mail, and then we're done, cut them over. We made a decision of not giving the students an empty mailbox to begin with, because we felt that would cause more confusion. So we decided to do a migration and not give them access until everything was done. The sources we used for this was a lot of information from Google, and our colleague Maria Purvis, who's not joining us today, she did an outstanding job of collecting and collating through a lot of that information. Between her and I, we were able to go through the information about our accounts that we know, compare it to what we know about Google, and that's how we were able to create the batches in which we were starting to do the migrations. This involved changes to Proofpoint routing groups. We had to create several new ones. We had to reorganize our Active Directory, where our student accounts are organized. It really didn't impact faculty staff accounts because they were already there, but in our case, we had to start syncing about 100,000 alumni account that we had not synced before. And so in our case, so this was a lot of pick a batch, set everything up, ready to go, migrate them, monitor, deal with any issues, do the post-migration steps. And at either end of this, I must say, bookending all this, there was a lot of communication you're going to hear about a little bit. Okay.
Thanks, Ralph. Actually, communication, you'll hear about it now. So just as important as it was to plan and prep on the technical side, it was really important for us to execute communication as efficiently as possible. We joke, and we have this this image of the plane flying the banner, because we joke internally that that's the last thing that was left for us to do, was to literally fly a plane over FIU with a banner that says, "Students, you are now on M365." We really exhausted every single avenue. At least we believe we exhausted every single communication avenue to get this in front of the students, as this was a huge project. It was impacting them in a great way. Prior to the start of the migration, of the actual migration, we had tons of meetings with executive leadership and stakeholders to get their buy-in, right? That was the first thing that was important. And because we started the migration, I would say very late in the spring, early summer, we didn't have as many students on campus. We didn't have as much traffic on campus. So we really needed to hone in on that virtual communication channels. The first thing that we really did was stand up a project page. And this is where we were guiding everyone to, all our users, one page where they could go find all the information that they needed. Important dates, what we were migrating, because again, like Ralph said, we migrated email, but we were not migrating their data in Google Drive. That was left up to them. How to migrate from Google Drive to OneDrive, accessing the different tools, frequently asked questions. The why was also very important for our users, right? Our students are very, they've been using Google for such a long time. I think this change was a little drastic for them, but I think to some extent, some understood, especially the ones that are working in the corporate world now, they understand that that's what's being used in the workforce. It's M365. So those benefits were pretty easy to communicate. We used email a lot. We know that our students aren't really reading email as much, but we did have a big alumni population that we migrated, so they are still using email. One important thing that we like to note is we did send out the pre-migration emails prior to migrating all our users. Post-migration, we did send to their Gmail accounts and their M365 accounts. We also created a message. We have a lot of our enterprise-wide applications that sit behind a login page. We put a message up there. A message on the student information system, Canvas. We really communicated hard on social media as well. And another very important thing that was effective for us was collaborating with all the university, the colleges and the business units that really helped us push that message out, advisors, faculty chairs, faculty senate, and our communicators. They were really vital in us pushing this message out. And then once school started in the fall, we switched over to our on-campus campaign, floor decals, flyers, electronic message boards, promotional items that were given out during Week of Welcome. A Week of Welcome is the first week of the fall semester where we welcome back our students and our freshmen for the first time. We set up in the student union, spoke to our students, got great feedback from our students, and thanks again to Microsoft for being there. They were there with us. I mean, we've gotten very close over the past couple of months, and we really thank them for their partnership because they've been vital in the success of this project. And then also our Student Government Association. We've had a great partnership with them. They've been able to help push this message out. The Student Government Association leaders, also the president, has been very supportive in this project, and they are the voice really of the students, and they've helped us really push this message out. I am actually going to turn it over now to Marielle.
Thank you, Jessica. I am not sure why project webinars became a box, but let's deal with that. So my name is Marielle, as Jessica mentioned. My role is really on the IT side, where it comes to the LMS, but also the training team on campus and virtually. And we did a lot of efforts, cross-functionally, as Jessica mentioned. We worked with each other, right? I'm more the training Canvas side, Jessica's communication. We worked with Ralph, and we definitely leveraged our Microsoft partnership. So Stephanie posted some pictures. Thank you, Stephanie. We really took advantage of anything and everything Microsoft offered. We are functioning in a very tight timeline, right? When it comes to transition, when it comes to communication, when it comes to training. So any way that we could extend our resources, and basically we saw Microsoft as an extension of our own team. So a lot of the trainings did come from the Microsoft hubs, and they had virtual trainings. We've had, as you see the pictures, virtual events that had to do with anything that was pertaining to the project. Now, the next item is like time trainings. And what I call timed is really thinking of what's coming up within our project and focusing our training around that. So we offered, generally our common trainings, right? Like Outlook, Excel, etc. But what we did is we kind of scaled back something that wasn't maybe it needed so much visibility at the time and really pushed forward. For example, mail. Mail may seem very simple for us to use, but a lot of students weren't used to doing that. And so about the time that they were getting access to their email accounts, we made sure to have various offerings that comes around the mail system, OneDrive. Now that we are migrating away, that Google is going away for us in October 1st, as far as Google Drive, we're pushing a lot of OneDrive trainings so that they know how to transition, but also how to use once they're already there. The box, which is project webinars, for us really was less about, let's not have to just always train. Why don't we have a conversation of why we're doing this? And so a lot of what Jessica explained is what we had to explain to students and to faculty and staff. Although we adopted 365 for faculty and staff in previous years, one of the transition was going away from Google accounts. And so there was a subset of users that would have to stop using Google within Canvas, stop using it for their classroom. And so transitioning them away and explaining the why was very important, but also very helpful, and for them to actually adopting the projects and realizing the benefits. We had a lot of misnomers, as you all may have in your own institutions, right? Where students would come to us and like, well, how can I collaborate with Microsoft? Like online, just like you can with any other product, right? And so some simple questions that we didn't realize were important, we heard through those live project webinars. They were live, but they're often virtual because we've learned it within our times. It's just easier to capture a bigger audience. But that was extremely helpful. That was a part of us, not just supporting the adoption, but getting really the numbers that we needed to use additional products within the Microsoft 365 space. Target audience, I know we mentioned with targeted communications, we got very targeted, as targeted as it comes. So we were down to user groups, not tied to anyone, not tied to a cohort, not tied to anything, but just pure accounts. And so in that same manner, we were also communicating opportunities for them within not just messaging, hey, you're now in Microsoft 365, but because you're Microsoft 365, right? We're in M365, look at these trainings that can support you. You're now on email. Okay, this is what's going to follow. This is the supplement. So it really was cohesive. Varied resources. So because part of this transition impacted our LMS, which is Canvas, we had to get the Canvas resources in place. We had to get the student resources in place, and then the faculty employee resources in place. And we also took advantage, to be honest, the opportunity to promote services that have been available, but maybe not been used by our staff. So ensuring that like bookings, for example, is something we're featuring now. So maybe some of our administrative staff can look at that, look at with advisors and partnering. So again, looking at the whole picture at the end is the cohesive and targeted strategy. Not let's focus on what we're just doing in this project, but what other opportunities do we have that are part of this project as well.
Thank you, Maria. So at this point, we can say we made it, right? I mean, almost. As far as the migration of accounts go, we made it. We're done, right? We migrated, I think in total, almost 270,000. So exact number, 269,934. That included our alumni base. That included students, clubs, department accounts, some employee and faculty that were still on Google as well. Big for us was that we met our goal to migrate all students prior to the start of the fall semester. We also successfully disabled access to Gmail at the beginning of this month without incident. And we do have one important deadline coming up, which Ralph did mention, which is the October 1st deadline, where we will be disabling Google Drive. And we are, our communication now is really focused on that at this moment, is making sure that our students know that their Google Drive is going to be disabled on October 1st. So as of today, we've had 373 requests and incidents that have been put into our contact center. That's since the beginning of the migration. Considering that our population of students is 58,000, I would say that's a nominal number. So we're really proud of that. And now, what's next for us? We continue to work to configure the team's environment to possibly implement Viva Learning. We do continue to centralize teams as the FIU supported collaboration application. The FAQs on our project page continue to be updated so that our users know what's going on, where to go, where they have questions, more of a self-help, self-service. And we continue to provide trainings to our students, faculty, and staff, like Marielle mentioned, our targeted trainings and our trainings as we roll out some more of these M365 tools. With that, I'll complete our presentation, and I'm happy to open the floor to any questions.
I don't know if people are going to have questions, but I just want to say thank you and congratulations, and you did it. And by the time I'm down there with you guys again in November, I don't know what we'll talk about if it's not migration. We're going to have to pick a new topic.
Sure, we'll find something.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, thank you guys again so much. If you guys want to drop your contact information in the chat, then folks can reach out to you and maybe just collaborate on email. There was a question about Teams calling and voice. If you guys want to address that, if you have any information, and if not, we can table that for later on. And I'll let Andrea cut the recording since I am not the one who started it.
I can. What's normally the way you'd like us to answer the questions, in the chat or to the group by voice?
Yeah, you can do it in the chat, Ralph, or if you want to. I don't know if you guys have information about the sort of like Teams voice and calling plan situation, if you want to share that at all.
I can talk a little bit about that. Right now, we've had some very, very, very loose, just kind of brainstorming conversations. But I think what we'll see is that for our immediate future, we're going to remain a Cisco shop when it comes to our telephony. For us, a big factor here is how many different places we are and how the billing that's tied to all this is set up. So it would require a lot of changes that involves our finance folks as well. So for the time being, we're going to go light on this, but I wouldn't say it's out of scope forever. Probably something that we'll revisit at some point.
Awesome. I want to give a shout out to Weston, who's also on the call, who was one of the Jarvis sort of workers behind the scenes to make sure that we got through it too. So again, thank you guys so much. I think Andrea actually had to drop, so Garrett, you might have to go ahead and end us for today. But again, appreciate it. Thank you guys all, and we will see you on MS Office Hours next week. Also, I'll tell Elton you guys said hello tonight. Have fun.